In February of 2025, a funeral home in Houston, Texas became the center of a story that stunned both professionals and the public. A single act inside a preparation room, unseen by the outside world, triggered a criminal investigation, a license suspension, and a wave of outrage. This is the case of Amber Lauderdale, a case that exposed how quickly trust can collapse inside a place built on dignity, finality, and respect. Funeral homes are designed for order. Their work depends on precision, silence, and a strict chain of procedure. Every step is documented. Every movement is recorded. Families hand over their loved ones with the belief that these rooms, these tables, and these hands operate with absolute integrity. In early 2025, one facility in Houston followed the same rhythm it always had. Until the morning, everything changed. 58-year-old Charles Roy Rodriguez arrived at the funeral home for scheduled cremation. His body was processed through intake, tagged, and prepared for the final steps of mortuary care. Nothing appeared unusual. No one expected the preparation room to become the center of a criminal investigation. During a routine handling, embalmer Amber Lauderdale reviewed background information connected to the deceased. It was at that moment, according to investigators, that everything shifted. Upon learning the deceased was a registered sex offender, Lauderdale's actions diverged dramatically from the standards of her profession. Witness accounts and official affidavits later described what happened next as deliberate and unauthorized act, one that violated state law, professional ethics, and the fundamental expectation of dignity owed to the deceased. Court filings describe the following sequence. During preparation, Lauderdale tampered with the remains, altering them in a way that had no medical purpose, no authorization, and no justification. Her actions were observed by others in the room, including a student completing training hours. When the act was reported, the funeral home immediately notified authorities. It was a breach that went beyond misconduct. It crossed into criminal territory. Detectives interviewed witnesses, gathered statements, and reviewed the sequence of events inside that room. The accounts were consistent, the information detailed, and the actions described met the legal threshold for felony abuse of a corpse under Texas law. Within days, an arrest warrant was issued. The Texas Funeral Service Commission immediately suspended Lauderdale's license, preventing her from performing further mortuary work while the case unfolded. This story spread quickly. Residents questioned how an embalmer could breach procedures so deeply. Families demanded assurances that their loved ones would be protected. Funeral directors across the state released statements reaffirming their standards. This incident became a flashpoint for discussions about oversight, mental health support in the industry, and the vulnerability of the deceased in private facilities. Now, don't get it twisted. This was not a case of an error, not a misunderstanding. It was a deliberate act, and the public treated it as such. Now, guys, you might be asking yourself, what exactly did she do to get herself arrested? I'm about to tell you right now. She castrated Mr. Rodriguez and stuck his penis in his mouth as an act of revenge for him being a sexual predator. Obviously, when the students saw her do this, she was in absolute horror of what she just saw. Lauderdale was charged and released pending further proceedings. The case entered the court system where every decision, every affidavit, and every procedural detail was placed under scrutiny. The final verdict would depend on witness testimony, forensic findings, and the interpretation of Texas laws regarding the sanctity of remains. While the wheels of the legal system turned, the funeral home strengthened its protocols, and the state reviewed regulations that had long operated quietly in the background. This case forced an industry to confront a reality it rarely acknowledges. The deceased cannot protect themselves. Their dignity relies entirely on the ethics and stability of the living. When a breach occurs, it is not only a crime, it is a rupture of public trust. The Amber Lauderdale case became a defining moment, not because it was common, but because it was rare, shocking, and uncompromising in its implications. In the quiet rooms of a Houston funeral home, a single act set off a chain reaction of investigation, accountability, and outrage. The case left a mark on families, on professionals, and on the state regulations designed to safeguard the dead. The story is still unfolding. The consequences are still being measured, and its impact will remain long after the legal process ends. So what do y'all think about that story? Drop it in the comments. I really hope you enjoyed the new format, and I hope to see you next time. Peace.